First of all, sorry that this video is coming out late. I've had a lot of work to do on this, and since it's such a different video, videos like these I believe will come out once a month, including this series, so you should expect this series to cover at least 4 months, because this takes a little bit more effort than the other stuff I need to work on, and it's not easily to do this on a weekly basis, so yeah. America currently is at one of the most politically divided points in their history. The only time that dwarfs this time was the time of the Civil War. The Civil War was caused primarily over the issue of slavery, and the southern states, who felt as if they were being oppressed by the North, decided that the only reasonable action was secession. And those states that had left the Union formed the Confederate States of America. And for the next 4 years, the South and North have fought the bloodiest war that America has ever been in. It killed 620,000 people, or roughly 2% of all of America's population. Those deaths caused the North to win, and the institution of slavery destroyed. Of course, alternate history circles picked up a concept of a Southern victory in the Civil War, and as an alternate history YouTube channel, it was only inevitable that I would too. However, the entire political situation of a new South and North fascinates me, so I shall be going extremely in-depth into the scenario over these next 4 videos, discussing a world where the South had won. To cause a Southern victory, we'll use 3 factors that would have strengthened the South and debilitated the North. First, we shall have Robert Lee's Special Order 191 successfully sent to his soldiers. Special Order 191 is an outline plan, to oversimplify it tad, that would flank the northern armies and seize Washington, and possibly some more northern cities. This plan didn't go through due to it falling out of a scout's pocket when they were taking a piss, which led to it getting into Union hands. So we'll make sure that order stays in the scout's pocket when he's taking that piss. The second thing that we'll do is to make sure France or Britain give their support to the CSA. All we really need to do to cause that to occur is for the CSA to tell France that they won't intervene in the French invasion of Mexico, as well as make some exclusive trade deals at the two with cotton to convenience the Brits. And the final thing we can do is for the war to be prolonged to 1864. And with the Southern advantage in the war, a lot of Northerners would just want the war to end. And if we make their feeling larger, we can cause the Peace Democrat, ex-General George McClellan, and his Vice President George Pendleton to win the 1864 election against Abraham Lincoln. With all these factors, the war shall end on March 30th, 1864. The Treaty of Washington states the following: the South shall gain their independence and take back West Virginia. They shall also take Kentucky. Only a week after the peace, McClellan was assassinated by 2 nationalists. The office of president is then filled by George Pendleton, with his vice president then becoming Horatio Seymour. Meanwhile, in the South, 2 political parties began to form: the Democrats and the Whigs. The Democrats are led by Davis's Secretary of State, Judah P. Benjamin. Bad news for Benjamin, though. He can't run for president because he wasn't born in the Confederacy. He was born in the Danish West Indies, which is geographically close to another historical figure we all know and love. So Judah sort of run things from the background, again similar to that one political figure we all know and love. Meanwhile, the Whigs are being led by Alexander Stephens, the vice president of Davis. Alexander Stephens can run for president, so he'll be the main candidate for the party in the upcoming election that'll occur in 4 years. Judah, however, asserted himself as a crucial part of the Davis administration through his many diplomatic missions. His first mission is to England. The CSA would give certain trade privileges to Britain if Britain helped sponsor a few infrastructure projects. The Brits accept. The second mission is to the north, and this deal is about the territories. Judah proposes the Sequoia deal, which would establish popular sovereignty in the territories. Judah knows that this deal is crap, and so does Pendleton. Both of them know that this deal is essentially going to have the same results as the Kansas-Nebraska Act, so Pendleton doesn't sign it. However, Pendleton doesn't know that this is a lose-lose situation, due to something that'll occur later. His third mission is to France. France is currently trying to have Mexico become a monarchy, and it's not going too well with Germany and Schleswig and all. So Judah assembles a deal with France, a deal that will change Mexico forever. The deal is called the Benjamin-Louis Pact. This pact says that the CSA will join the French war in Mexico, and in return, the CSA will take Chihuahua, Sonora, and the northern half of Baja California, which will be called Colorado, named after the river that flows through there. The deal is established in 1865, and the Confederates have to go through another war. The Confederates invaded from the north, dividing the Mexican armies in half. The French, without a major threat to the north, are able to force on squeezing the Mexicans out of the south. And once that occurs, they focus all their attention in the north. With both Confederate troops and French troops surrounding the Mexicans, they capitulate, and the Mexican Empire is established. The CSA gained Sonora, Chihuahua, and Colorado. And as I'm writing this video, it's election time, and it's the same in the old CS of A. The Democrats were definitely smart in their nomination. They got none other than Robert E. Lee, who was widely seen as the man who won the Civil War. His vice presidential nominee was William Porcher Miles, so they could counteract Lee's moderate viewpoints a tad. The Whigs quickly nominated Andrew Stevens as their presidential candidate alongside John Reagan as the vice presidential candidate. Stevens wanted to get Texas so he can influence the western part of the CSA, which partly worked with him getting Arkansas, but he wasn't able to get Louisiana or the New Mexican states. Robert E. Lee became the new president. There's also the U.S. election. Pendleton is running for a second term with Horatio Seymour as his vice presidential nominee. Then, on the Republican ticket, they're going radical. They have Charles Sumner as the presidential nominee. His vice presidential nominee, John Fremont. Most people see Pendleton as either a coward or a great diplomat, but a lot of people see the former due to his relaxed relations with France and Britain, who've now betrayed the US. Of course, Sumner isn't seen as all sunshine and rainbows. He talks openly about another war with the Confederacy, which doesn't make the Army or a lot of the veterans too happy. The election is close, but Sumner narrowly beats out Pendleton. Sumner immediately starts making laws that disenfranchise the South. Sumner wants to eradicate the South, destroying every last bit of its influence that it could have had. He, alongside his cabinet, discussed the plans if they re-annex the South, and more plans are drawn up for invasion. The plan, called the Grant Plan, named after the new head of national defense, Ulysses S. Grant, is the concept of using the Mississippi River to cut off the two sides of the CSA, and then using a superior navy to naval invade them at key points. The afterwar plans would be to divide each of the states up, and then completely abolish slavery in the South. Then, in 1870, Sumner signs the Civil Rights Act of 1870, and as the name suggests, it gives full civil rights to African Americans. This doesn't cause as much outrage, and since there are no southern states besides Missouri, so the bill is relatively unchallenged. Down in the South, Lee realizes that the North is most likely drawing up war plans against the CSA. Lee decides to do the same. He devises up the Kentucky Plan. This would consist of invading through Ohio from Kentucky to cut the US in half. They would proceed to fortify their country and prevent any push inside of it. They would try to gain Britain on their side, but if not, then they would just starve them out. At the end of the peace, they would take Maryland, but let the US keep Washington, as well as they would take Missouri. And if no deal were made about the issue of the ownership of the territories, some of them as well. Then, after the Kentucky Plan was drafted, Lee dies of a stroke. William Porcher Miles is quickly ushered in as the president, and John T. Harris became the provisional vice president. Instead of finishing the remaining 4 years of the Lee presidency, Congress decides that Miles should get an entire new set of 6, pushing the election year all the way to 1876. As 1872 draws near, another U.S. election occurs between Sumner and the Democratic candidate Benjamin Gratz Brown and his vice presidential nominee Theodore Fitz Randolph. This election wasn't as close as the original, with Democrats losing New York as a state. Sumner is seen widely popular with his anti-Confederate measures. Some people see him as a warmonger, but a lot of his infrastructure programs and the new enfranchisement of the blacks definitely gave him a larger part of the vote. Gratz definitely loses the election. After Gratz lost the election, celebrating Republicans in Oklahoma engaged in fights with Southern Democrats. Discussions between the CSA and the US were going nowhere, with Judah not giving any ground whatsoever. At his inaugural address, Sumner surprised everyone by officially declaring war on the Confederate States, starting the Second American Confederate War, or as it's more commonly known, the Sequoia War. Sorry this video took so late. I think I said this in the beginning, but this one takes a long time to make. I'm not even sure when this one's gonna come out, to be honest. I'm doing this audio like 2 hours before I usually upload, so I'm probably gonna upload this late, but I don't know right now, so just in case if I do, I'm sorry about that. I know this video isn't normal. If you want me to end this series, tell me in the comment section, because this is definitely a new kind of shape of form for me. I really like to go in depth into this. Even if I don't have a series, I'll probably continue making the history, because the entire concept of presidential elections in the South and all that stuff just fascinates me on a level I cannot describe. So just tell me what you think about this in the comment section below. You voted for this. I actually didn't vote for it to take late, but yeah, this was the first video I had for voting. So the next video won't be a normal video. So yeah. Bye.
Away down south in the land of traitors, rattlesnakes and alligators. Right away, come away, right away, come away. Where cotton's king and men are chattels, Union boys will win the battles. Right away, come away, right away.